Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Internet Dads. I'm Jason, that's Deke, and today joining us in a very unsafe manner is some sort of image of Dave.
Dave is being good.
Hey.
That's why his image looks like that.
Oh.
See what you did?
Completely safe. Completely safe.
There's a non-zero chance that if the screen goes black, Dave was in a crash. So please be careful.
Dude, you talk on your phone all the time when you drive. I'm using earbuds.
Right.
He's using earbuds and he's not even
I'm not looking. No, my eyes are ahead.
Looks a little dim and rainy out there. Is it dim and rainy?
It is. It is.
All right.
Actually, I'm in Indiana.
Oh, you are?
Wait. Yeah. Is my screen not on?
No, you're on.
Am I not on there anymore?
No,
okay.
Your screen. We see you just fine. Good morning, folks. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. And we are broadcasting live to YouTube and Rumble and Facebook, but I don't know how to do Facebook, so it's locked up. So, and besides which, apparently I have offended some of my family.
I tried to warn you not to do it on Facebook.
I know. And here's the thing. Here's the thing I want to say. Like, people are going to decide that they know what you think about things, despite the fact that for over 3 years, we have been meeting here pretty regularly on the internet, talking in some degree of detail on various issues, and we're all over the place with some nuanced opinions. But am I going to get credit for any of that? No, absolutely not. They're just they just check this box like evil person or whatever, and I'm just like, I'm sorry you're retarded. It's got to be real hard to live retarded. I'm very sorry.
I want to know.
Everybody's got opinions.
I know.
I want to know how Dave.
And I'm not trying to change their opinions.
Trips were. How was the overseas?
Yeah.
I love Ireland. It's a beautiful place. They have some of the same issues we have here in America, in that there are riots going on in Northern Ireland. Crazy stuff, mostly over immigration issues. And, the people, it's such an important country or even island for the world. Like during the medieval period, when the rest of the world was burning books and trying to determine if earthquakes would happen using pig bladders. It's a Monty Python reference for you. At any rate, all the literature went to Northern Ireland, and they made copies of books there while everybody else was destroying them. So Ireland, ultimately saved civilization. Fast forward 1,000 years, or not 1,000 years, but 800 years, and Ireland is kind of they've kind of lost who they are to some degree, or at least they've forgotten where they've come from. And I could see America doing that very, very easily.
Yeah,
I love working.
How do they forget? How do you forget who you are?
So there, if you say you are a Christian, you are either Catholic or Protestant, you're either Catholic or you're Christian, and it has nothing to do with Jesus Christ. Most of the people don't know who Jesus is. It is 100% political.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. They've forgotten who they are. To say that you are a Christian should mean something. And unfortunately, you can see that same thing happening here in America.
We live in okay, fine. But in America, we also have kind of this heritage of going all the way back before America, where, John Smith and the Anabaptists from Amsterdam or whatever, they were like, I don't want to do what you tell me. And we got a whole lot of that coming. We have many generations of the Protestant fashion of I don't want to do what you tell me, and I believe what I believe, and that's what I'm responsible for.
I used to make a joke. I haven't made this joke in years, but I used to make this joke, and I don't know what the number is now. Ask Grok, and he'll tell you. I think it's around 27, give or take 27,000 different interpretations of Christianity. like 27,000.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
denominational.
And
Yeah.
I always made the joke, and I
Yeah,
made this joke years ago that if Jesus were to come back today and he'd be like, there's how many different interpretations? Oh, okay. I don't think y'all are ready yet. I'll be back. You know?
Yeah, but like most of the fragmentation are among Protestants. You know, even further back than that. Most of it is along like specific like interpretations of specific
Doctrinal
scriptures
issues, yes.
and often fringe issues like and when I say fringe issues I mean like there is at least in the Protestant Baptist tradition there's like a couple core issues which is you know Jesus died for your sins, accept it and you're good, and or don't, like that's the core issue. That's it. Everything outside of that doesn't change your ultimate inevitable destiny of where you're going. So,
Does it?
No, it doesn't. It does not.
Okay. Well, that's what you believe. I don't believe that.
Okay.
We lost you, Dave.
Dave, poor Dave's caught in the rain in a car. He can't adequately respond to
and this is like
theological
this
challenges.
is a topic that he's an expert in, much more than we are.
Yeah, right. Let me just run my mouth.
Hang on. When he gets back, he doesn't know that he's skipping out, though.
Yeah, you have to park at Dairy Queen or something, buddy.
Oh, don't.
There we go.
There you are. You're back.
Yeah, Indiana is being crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're just like all locked up. Indiana, look at us.
Yeah.
So why did you see? So let's.
But yeah, then. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say let's. I was going to let you answer, but let's circle around back on this topic when Dave's got a more stable issue because you are the expert in this, and we'd like to hear your.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the question?
Oh, I don't know that we had.
I don't know that we had a question.
You were just talking about
what we were talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, you're talking about Ireland being confused.
Oh, yes. Well, Ireland just being they've forgotten who they are, and there's a huge, very high suicide rate in the area that we work. Yeah.
So what percentage of this is the Irish dilution because of immigration, bringing in foreign communities that then become not Irish? They become, other communities living in Ireland. Like, I mean, I'm not just supposing. I have seen people online making, protests. Like, I think in Ireland there were protests last year about their national.
Well, there were some while we were there.
Yeah, the national character of Ireland. In fact, we used to have somebody that come around here that was Irish, and she was talking about that kind of stuff. So, like, there's some contention happening in Ireland and other European states of the character of their cultures being displaced in part, not totally, but in part. And the question is, like, at what part is that in part to the point where Ireland isn't necessarily like Ireland in
I think it argues that it's an argument that every country needs to stay the same, which I think is bogus because every single place you are has been conquered by someone at some point.
True.
Several times.
Yeah. It's not just, but we have this idea that, like I was talking with an anthropologist back when I was in college. He was going to school for anthropology. I was going to school for ministry. And he's like, you Christian missionaries need to stay out of this area and let these people just be. And I'm like, okay, well, you assume those people need to stay as they are, that no change. And you're studying it as if they're freaks and not the progression of mankind.
Right.
And I think he would ultimately argue that mankind has to progress in order to survive, to live. And his argument was progression needed to be internal, not external.
Mm-hmm.
I was just reading an article the other day about the Out of Africa theory might be wrong. They see that it happens in waves, and they just talked about how when these early individuals left Africa, um, like 1.5 million years ago, and then 1.3 million years ago, they were talking about the advancement in tools. Like if people just stayed the same and never progress, that's not it's not
Yeah,
healthy.
that's
It's not good.
that is stagnation for sure. On the other hand, change for change's sake rather than for a purpose isn't necessary. It doesn't necessarily help either. In
Right.
terms of,
So
and I
does
mean,
change need to be internal or external?
I think it needs to be utilitarian. I think it needs to. I think it needs to
Sure.
serve a good, and by
Yes.
good I mean it in the common good. The commons. That is the things that are of benefit to multiple pluralities of groups, pluralities of people. I kind of in a and I don't mean to bend this back to politics, but obviously it
Sure.
ultimately bends back to politics. The distribution of resources among people, and I've kind of always been of the opinion that we should never pass law of any kind that takes resources from one group and gives it to another, unless like it's not a marginal benefit, but like we should only agree on laws that far more than half of people agree on. Not a simple majority, but like we should only make laws when it's like 2/3 of people agree that that's something we should do.
Yeah, but I want to agree with you, but I mean, with the law thing, but taking the law out of it, just thinking that we can only like contribute good and do good, and good is the only thing that's going to progress mankind. That's false. That is completely false, because you can go through history a million different times and see where something bad has contributed to something good. And if that bad
Right.
situation hadn't have happened, then we would not have had all of the advancements of the good. And I, as I have gotten older, have always, and this is just how I look at it. I look at that as that's God's plan. When people say we don't know God's plan, that's right. We don't know God's plan because sometimes this has to happen in order for all of this good stuff to happen.
Well, the other problem is some people define good and bad different too. Like
That's
I would
true.
say, groups like Doctors Without Borders are good. And you're telling me that these individuals who live in this area who have no access to any kind of medical assistance shouldn't receive medical assistance um, because it's a Christian organization? I kind of disagree with that. I mean, like if they're footing the bill and they're paying for it and they're hopping in there to legitimately care for these individuals, would that be a problem? It's but that was the argument that I was making with the whole trying to make sure we. I don't know. I don't know.
What was what was the most interesting thing that you saw in Ireland?
So I think
Anything. It doesn't have to be
yeah,
anything.
no. We attended an ordination service for the minister that we've worked with, and he's from the Church of Ireland. He's Anglican, and I'm not from a high church background. I'm a low church background. I could wear this polo and my jeans and preach in church, whereas that ain't happening there. In some of their churches, like they will have vestments and whatnot. Now, at the church that Colin's at, everything is kind of more chilled out and relaxed. But going to his ordination, it's like a 2.5 hour service, and
Wow.
it was very high church, but it was very cool. I mean, it's in the church where St. Patrick's buried,
Yeah,
um,
that's awesome.
which is kind of cool. Yeah, it was super cool.
Did you feel any judgment coming to you for your low
No,
church background, or your we
none.
lost Dave. Oh, or
No,
your
you didn't. I'm still
we
here.
okay, we lost your video. Or for being an American? Nothing like that?
Nope,
That's
nothing.
awesome. Because
Yeah,
if you would have, my backup question was going to be, did they feel differently after they spoke to you? Because
so
I'm
I actually
we're going to be
preached.
talking to this guy from Kentucky, and then you meet Dave, and you're like, oh wow, hey, it's cool.
I actually preached at the church that we were working with on Father's Day, and it just happened to be Father's Day there as well. And they liked the American accent, but I was still jet lagged. I'm like, oh man, it's a horrible sermon. Uh, all that stuff going through my mind afterwards, just trying to keep my thoughts. But what was really cool was my middle child was with me, a son, and I I had him read scripture that morning because they're like, we have to have scripture reading and all this. I'm like, all right, cool. Who on your team? I'm like, my son. It's Father's Day. Let a father son do this. That's perfect. And so that was
That's
kind of
cool.
cool getting to
Yeah.
experience mission work with my son and just talk about the broader work of ministry in general. So yeah. Then of course I got back and then I went to Minnesota for the wedding. That was fun. Um, and got back from that and went to church camp for a week. That was draining but fun. So yeah,
I
I'm
went to the
glad I'm
dollar
home.
store the other day. That's about as far as I've gone.
Well, you've got like 13 of them in your town now, right?
Me and Ashley went to the Waffle House.
Oh, I'm jealous. I love the Waffle House.
No, gross. All right,
The Waffle
JJ.
House is good.
We're 20 minutes in. We can now get to our he's muted. JJ's muted. You're muted.
Yeah, sorry, I was
That's okay.
helping my daughter with her summer bridge. She gets homework at home for no reason other than we want to make sure that
Exciting.
she's smart and ahead at school.
He needs to be bored.
That's what I said.
Oh.
My wife don't like that. So I got a couple stories, but guys, I want to do a pro tip. Deke, if you have Microsoft Edge, maybe in Chrome, I don't know, but you go to a news story, we always get blasted with like all these ads, and I'm just like, oh, this is terrible. In Edge, if you hit F9, it puts it in reading immersion mode.
Yeah.
It's just the story.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it's pretty rad. So we have this is our image today, which by the way, Grok does not know how to draw a map. Like it's all blurry back there, so it doesn't look too good. But
Well, I mean, there's Nevada, California,
Sure.
Idaho, Utah. I mean, it all looks pretty correct, except
if I show you the other ones,
when you
if
get
I
over
show
to
you-
the other side, though, that didn't look right over there with Maine.
yeah, it's let me go shift control
I'm not
because I was like
looking right
I was
now,
like
so
Grok, this is a low effort task. Grok, just make a map that shows Elon Musk kind of considering this idea of a constitutional convention of states. And I was and at first he was like, okay, here's him thinking about it. And I'm like, that doesn't help at all. But then look at this. Let me find. Oh, like here's one where like, what is this? This is who knows what this is. And I was wondering, that doesn't look like Kentucky right there. So like it just here in the middle, it's just kind of like whatever. Look at Texas. Can you see? You guys can't see. It's not good. So Grok needs to work on the drawing of a map. It was pretty clear instruction, but the reason why that's our kind of video thumbnail is that pressure is building for Elon Musk to ditch this third party idea in favor of backing a convention of states. So as soon as we heard about this America Party thing, I was like, ugh, this is a loser plan. This is not a good plan. And maybe there's some benefits to it, but loser plan. So some other folks like Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin and John Solomon and who knows who else are banding about Elon Musk ought to support a convention of states. So what do you think about a convention of states? 19 states have already said we should have a convention of states, and we just need, I think, 2/3. So we need like 36 states to say, yeah, let's do a convention of states and rein in the power of the federal government. Rather than
cheers.
go out. What's that?
I said cheers.
Good luck.
Yeah, go for it.
we've never done it in the history of America. We've never called a convention of states since the founding of the country, and we've only got about half the states in place. Now, what the Constitutional Convention could do is what Congress and the president can't seem to do, which is, in theory, amend the Constitution and clarify some rules. But states would have their own interests rather than the other interests and pressures that fall on representatives.
So,
coloring
isn't
the
that
issues.
what our representatives are supposed to do?
Well, supposed to do, but we have all these other factors
So
like
then,
money and
let's eliminate lobbyists.
you can't.
Ding
You
ding
can't.
ding 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 ding.
That how does that work? That just changes where
How
the
is
influence comes from.
How is this state convention going to work? It's not going to work.
Sure.
It will not work.
The people of each state, the legislature of each state would say these are the things that are important to us, and then the states would have to come together and say we all agree on this. Like abolish.
Get rid of lobbyists and it'll work.
I don't think it
Get
would.
rid of the money. I think it would. Get
You'll
rid of
just
the money.
change. You'll just change where it goes.
I mean, I agree with both of you on that. Dave is right. I mean, get rid of the lobbyists, but I agree with you, JJ, that the money would not just disappear. It would just change forms.
Yeah.
On how it's done. And I hate to say that, but I mean, that's just trying to be realistic. I hate this. My arm.
You need to write an email to your boss. Be like, hey, the arm fell and broke on the floor. We need a new one.
No, I just need to retighten a spring over there. I really thought about getting a blowtorch and bringing it in here and just retightening the spring.
Why don't you just switch the one that's connected with the one that's not connected?
I put them all on.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I've been experimenting with them. And what's funny is they're not all the same size. There's 3 different size springs.
Yeah.
On this thing. So I was experimenting with the 3 different sizes to try to get to where the tension will lock.
What are we talking about?
A mic.
I've got my camera's off. I've got my map on.
Yesterday, Deke was showing me his mic arm. Actually, after the show, was it after the show or before? We were both just complaining about our arms that are holding the microphones, and I was like, "This one's okay," but then it fell off during the show. Okay, look, I don't think this is probably going to go anywhere either. It's a high-minded idea that the states could come together and agree on something, but it's also just as unlikely that they could agree on anything. However, in my opinion, we shouldn't make any laws unless we can agree. So that's like not only a high bar, like a necessary one. I think these are 2 ideas that are not going to go anywhere unless there's a lot more groundswell momentum of people in these states.
The lobbyists problem, though, like Dave said, is one that I've thought that is ridiculous for years and years and years and years. I know why. I know why it emerged, and I know why it is very, very successful. Sure. But it does no good for you and me and Dave. Does no good for us.
Okay, yeah, and some for sure. And I'm not defending lobbyists, but I will say this. Let's say I was going to go to Washington and propose and make a bunch of law about public airwaves. I don't know anything about public airwaves. I don't know anything about frequency or megahertz or power watts or whatever. But I sure could get a legislator to be like, let's just make everybody have unlimited everything. That would heavily infect your industry. And it would make sense for lobbyists who know your industry to be up in Washington and be like, don't do that. That's bad. There's bad reasons not to do that.
What you're asking for is an expert, not a lobbyist. A lobbyist is a paid shield.
Yeah, but lobbyists represent industries and experts. Their job is to be the intermediary between industries and lawmakers.
They tell you they represent, but they don't. They represent money and stockholders.
Sure. That's true.
So here's what you said, JJ. You said you're going to go to D.C. and you're going to write this law, but I don't know anything about the topic. That stuff needs to stop. An individual shouldn't go in with the mindset that they're going to write a law about something they don't know anything about.
You're making my point. This is why you can't say, oh, we can't have lobbyists, because then what you would have
wrong person.
Listen, stop and listen. What you would have for sure would be lawmakers who don't know what they're doing, and industries unable to communicate. Hey, we need this in the auto industry. We need this in the housing industry. We need this in the energy industry.
Assuming that we're good, you're just assuming that we're not going to have someone in the place of what you're talking about. What you want is an expert. And an expert and a lobbyist is two completely different people. A lobbyist is a paid person that is not working for you or anybody else, but money to get money into. They don't care about anybody else. What you want is an expert that's
I hear what you're
in and knows the laws as well as this.
Yeah, but you're not
by money.
Yeah, you're thinking of it at one level, but that's not entirely true.
So we had an issue here in my town.
What it is.
We had an issue here in my town. I'm not on city council or anything. I brought the issue up. And city council said, you know what? We can do something about that. And then it was done. That's really the way, and that's like a huge oversimplification. I get it. But that's really the way laws should work. Hey, there's this issue. We'll go with the airwaves. The airwaves are doing this thing and that thing. This is what we're needing. How do we approach this? And now you've got your representative or your whoever saying, all right, so how does this work? Now they're going to defer to the experts, not a lobbyist, but an expert. The lobbyists are only there for the economic factor, for the
yeah. You guys, I hear what you're saying. You're not entirely wrong, but you're making some strong assumptions here, and it's not just money. In the same way that Deke is, or a technician is an expert in radio, or you're an expert in, we'll say chaplaincy. There are people out there that are experts in their industries. Those industries hire people to communicate their priorities, their industry priorities to lawmakers.
You're explaining this that we already know. I don't disagree with you. What you're ceasing to accept.
Can I finish what I'm saying? Can I finish? What lobbyists know that you don't know is who to talk to. That's what they know.
This whole fucking argument is about the word lobbyist. Get rid of that word and make 2 different or 3 different words that classify 3 different people, and this will solve our problem. Because you're going on the assumption that there is no person that is a lobbyist that does it for monetary gains.
That's not what I'm saying.
I personally believe that there's about 80 to 90% of them do that. I agree that there are some experts that are called lobbyists right now that are pushing for good things, but that is nowhere near the majority. And so in order to get rid of the gunk, we need those good people. We need what you're saying. I don't disagree with you. The problem is it's been muddled so bad you can't even see the good stuff anymore. Like me, I don't even see the good stuff, but you've got faith that it's there. I wish I could see some examples of it, but every example I see of a lobbyist is out to screw you and me and Dave.
I don't know if they're out to screw us, but I think they're out to promote themselves or their organization.
They are out there to promote their organization. Exactly what they're doing. And
I don't think screw you. They don't care. Their ties are to the organization.
I don't think that you can make some law to prohibit lobbyists in any way that won't be challenged and overturned. Because ultimately it will come down to like organizations and have free speech, and you can't just say people can't do stuff.
I agree with that.
I think you can. I think you can.
I don't think it's right.
All right.
It's going to
making a law. Lobbyists are illegal, and now you are. Nope. Let's say you're the publishing industry, and you're like, oh, they just passed a law that said I can't hire somebody to represent me. That's a violation of my free speech. It goes straight to court.
The way you would have to do it is how it connects to the governance of the land. You can have free speech, but if you start impacting, there is no such thing as freedom of speech. I don't care what the Constitution says. No. You're not just free to say whatever you want to say.
We're gonna go pretty much nowhere here. I don't think that it will work. I think you could put a lot of effort into a simple solution and then it will immediately be bypassed, or I don't think it would work. I don't think it would work like that.
I think what we're arguing is you don't think it would work. I don't think me and Dave disagree that it wouldn't work because of how stupid our system is. We're saying this is the correct thing to do. We know it won't work.
I'm honestly not even sold on that. Okay, look, I know. Look, I'll agree with you. 90% of lobbyists are snake oil, evil, devil spawn or whatever. They're evil. However, the unintended consequences of federally passing lawmakers passing law without the influence of industry, and those industries have the right to, employ people to represent them. You may not like it. I don't maybe like it or agree with them, but the consequences of us just passing law.
So fuck it, just let them do it if they're going to do evil.
I just think that solution, no lobbyists. I don't think that'll work. I just think that's not going to work.
I don't think that way. I think you should try to do good, even if you know the good is not going to work and you're going to fail in the end. I don't think that should stop you from trying to do good.
I think there's unforeseen consequences. That's all.
Sure.
Serious, significant ones that are possibly worse than their status quo, which isn't great.
I don't know about that, but I don't disagree that there's consequences.
All right. So I got one other story of super importance. We've talked before about the Supreme Court justices. Supreme Court's kind of stuff that I studied in school, but not for nothing. I think 2-3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, we had a story about Ketanji Jackson Brown that issued kind of a stupid opinion, and the rest of the court said that basically that's dumb. Well, once again, the other members of the Supreme Court are kind of lining up against Justice Ketanji Brown, except what is unexpected is that the one calling her out is Sotomayor. Sotomayor is also one of the most liberal left judges on the court. And in the latest decision, she has singled out Ketanji Jackson's remarks as not smart. She said, Sotomayor said, I agree with Justice Jackson that the president cannot restructure federal agencies in a manner inconsistent with congressional mandates. However, the executive order directs agencies to plan reorganizations and reductions in force consistent with applicable law. The plans are not before the court, and at this stage, we have no occasion to consider whether they can and will be carried out within the constraints of the law. So, Ketanji Jackson Brown was saying, the president can't do this, even though she doesn't know what the plans are at all. And even Sotomayor was like, you're going too far. We don't even have we cannot make a Supreme Court ruling, decision, or judgment or opinion on something we don't have the information about. Even I have to agree that that's dumb. So this is the latest in a string of not only bad decisions or opinions by Justice Jackson, but now even the left is turning on her a little bit. So I thought that was worth noting. Other than that, there's not a ton of news.
No, not really.
Not good news.
Yeah, that's what I was fixing to say. Not good news, because I've been trying to keep up with the Texas thing.
Not good. It's very bad, actually.
Like 160 people.
Yeah,
I've got something here for you. Make me moderator, and I'm going to show this. I saw this last night on TikTok, and I had to put this in my secret stash because I was like, I got to show Dave and JJ this and give this guy credit because you don't see stuff like this all the time, and we just need to give this guy credit. Not this guy, but he's
awesome.
Trash about the U.S. Coast Guard, especially inside the military community for some reason. But today it's time to give credit where credit's due. So Petty Officer Third Class Scott Ruskin, who's a 26-year-old Coast Guard rescue swimmer from Oxford Township, New Jersey, has been credited with saving 165 lives during the Texas floods over the 4th of July weekend in 2025. Petty Officer Third Class Ruskin played a pivotal role in rescuing these 165 people, including a lot of people primarily from Camp Mystic, which is that Christian girls' summer camp along the Guadalupe River, where a lot of people are still missing from. Now, Ruskin was the only triage coordinator on the ground at Camp Mystic, managing medical care for the injured and directing rescue operations, including 12 helicopters from the Coast Guard, National Guard, and U.S. Army. He provided first aid, comforted terrified children and adults, and coordinated evacuations, often carrying multiple children to safety personally. His leadership was critical in organizing the chaotic scene, ensuring survivors were prioritized and evacuated efficiently. Not only did he absolutely knock it out of the park, but this was his very first rescue mission since completing his training as an aviation survival technician in 2024. Despite having no experience other than the schoolhouse, he demonstrated exceptional courage and competence and set the example for others to emulate across the entire DoD and DHS. And I hope they pin a medal on this guy's chest.
You know, when I got on,
Dude, he's gonna have a bunch of medals.
to someone for some sort of comfort and safety. They don't really know what my experience is or my rank or my age. They just know, hey, this guy's a professional and he's here to help us, and I kind of had to live up to that standard. But yeah, the real heroes, I think, were the kids on the ground. Like, those guys are heroic, and you know, they were dealing with some of the worst times of their lives, and they were staying strong, and that helped inspire me to kind of get in there. And
Wow.
Look, as a storyteller, I'm calling it now. There will be a movie about that. If there is not, oh, hang on, let me close this. It's loud. If there's not a movie about that, about him, that's a moneymaker right there.
I mean,
his first, he was just out of training. It's his first real thing. He's 26 years old. All right. And he's the only one there that has to coordinate all of this and saves 165 people. And that's a story.
I mean, that's great. That's nuts. And it's his like first kind of like deployment.
Mm-hmm.
Ruskin. That's
Awesome.
pretty
He
awesome.
will never pay for a drink.
No.
He'll always have a woman on his arm. He is probably.
Look, this becomes an incredible chapter 2 in his memoir in 40 years.
I just thought
Chapter
that was
1
cool.
was, you know, where he grew up in the wherever, you know what I mean?
Oxford Township, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Boy in Mississippi.
Okay. Man,
JJ's
is it good when there's not much news?
Somebody posted Dave the other day. I saw it on TikTok. It was a jerk thing, and I posted, "I'm Mr. Nussbaum," and I've had like 3 people like, I'm like, okay, you're my crew, the ones that get that joke. I'm Mr. Nussbaum.
I don't get it.
I'll vouch, and then he goes, "I'll vouch for him." Okay, as long as we've got a voucher. Have you never seen Steve Martin's The Jerk?
I haven't seen it in
Oh my God.
decades.
Such a fun movie.
Yeah.
I'm picking out a thermos for you.
You.
Picking out a thermos for you. Oh, that's a great movie. I don't have anything else.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to cut
Yeah,
it
and I just pulled into this hospital visit, so I'm gonna have to hop off here.
All right. Well, let's just cut it short. It's Wednesday anyways. You got any
Good to see
interviews
you,
today?
sir. Yeah. It's a telephone interview, so I don't have to worry about
okay.
it picking them.
Do we still do jokes?
Sure, let's do jokes.
Yeah, if you want to.
Short show.
Sure.
I've invented a new game.
Yeah?
Yeah, I call it silent tennis. Yeah. It's just like normal tennis, but without the racket.
Racket. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I was talking to my son the other day, and I said, "What'd you learn at school today?" He said, "Well, weird stuff." I'm like, "Yeah." So yeah, I learned that gay men like Sony, lesbians like Yamaha, and transsexuals like Bose. And I said, "Dude, those are just stereotypes."
Where's he going with this?
Oh my gosh. Hey, I have a cousin who started a business recently. He started a new business making yachts.
Yeah.
In his attic. He started making yachts in his attic.
Yeah.
And sales are going through the roof.
Oh no! Yeah, that's terrible.
Ooh, yeah, that's something.
All it politicians and talking heads lying left and right. You can help us bring facts into the light. Don't let your daughter lose her next swim meet to a psychopath dude with fake teeth. Ask
You hit the outro?
for a comment, he said no. Watch
I don't hear
now,
anything.
the